Hello everybody. I am doing one quick thing here real fast and then I will be getting with ya. Sorry I'm just a couple minutes late here, but I'm trying to get prepared. I just thought of another picture that I wanted to show you guys, and I have to quickly add it real quick. Anyway, how was everybody's week? I hope everybody's week was good. Alright, I'm going to quickly get this on here real fast. Hopefully I can. Figured I'd jump on here while you guys were waiting. You're seeing a picture of Miss Ziva. Cassidy took this picture. I did not take it, but I thought it was kind of funny. Hello, Kitty's Homestead. How are you? I am quickly doing something here real fast because I thought of another picture here that I wanted to show you guys as a reference. And anyway, let me get it. Alright, here we go. Alright, now I can focus on the task at hand. Hello, mother of many horses, Maddie Ray. You had a great week. That's good, Maddie Ray. Oh, thank you. That's Ziva. It's kind of funny. I have a video of her on my channel when we first got her, and she was just this little black ball of fluff. And she's a very smart dog, even though in this picture she doesn't look too smart. But you know, it is what it is. Anyway, she is excited. It was nice this weekend, so she thought that it would be fun to go playing in the pond. And she got all wet, and that was fun. She likes to rub up next to you when she's all wet, and I'm not particularly fond of that. But, you know, she's a good dog nonetheless. Did anybody have anything really interesting happen this week? She is smiling, mother of many horses. She's a goofball, but she's very smart. So, alright, as promised, the topic for today is some of the grazing systems that I learned about in the grazing conference that I went to, the Mid-Missouri Grazing Conference that I attended on February 2nd. I gained a few new ideas. I relearned some of the material, refreshed my brain on some of the material that I already knew. And it was a really fun conference to go, and I've seen several people that I already knew. I talked to several different vendors and really had a great time there. I even met some new people, and I met a lot of the local people that are working kind of like the conservation department does. They're wanting to build their habitats, wildlife habitat, along with their grazing systems, which is really cool. And anyway, so yeah. The only thing interesting here this week is we finally got snow. Ew, kitty, no, yucky snow. That's a lot of snow. We haven't had that much in a long time. Oh, good, you got your sweet taters and your garlic planted. Yes, gardening itch is definitely happening here. I just got it's 11:06, so I'll go ahead and start. But I got my greenhouse completely finished and ready to go. I'm going to be getting my seedlings started. And then I had a section of my garden where I burned it off yesterday. Oh, okay. Thanks, Wee Tree Bonsai, for stopping in, though. No, snow is not fun. I agree with you on that one, mother of many horses. Snow is definitely not fun. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and switch it over here so you can look at my mug for a little while. Maybe. Hang on. Alright. There we go. You can see me now. Yay! So, not a whole lot happened here. We've had some really nice weather. It was in the 70s on Saturday, so we were all outside. Yesterday was a little bit cooler, and the wind was ridiculous. It was like 30 miles an hour at certain points, but we did get a lot done outside. You know, just kind of that initial spring cleanup. Get things kind of put back where they belong, and just some stuff like that. I've got a kitty cat meowing at me. And we had a really productive weekend. As you can see behind me here, Brian was busy building a purple martin house, and I've got a picture of it to show you. We have to get it sanded and then painted. Hello, Bandana Grandma. Welcome in. And that is going to be a silent auction item for our 4-H fundraiser. So that is his contribution. I am working on a crochet project for that. And the girls are going to make the movie Trolls. I found this little idea where you can make troll hair. You just take a regular headband and some tulle, and you make it look like troll hair. So they're going to be making those. They're not going to be in the silent auction, but they will be for purchase if anybody wants to. If anybody wants to purchase those at the fundraiser. So anyway, I've been really busy doing that, getting the fundraising stuff ready to go. We have a 4-H meeting tomorrow that we have to discuss all of that on. So I've been really busy getting that kind of stuff done and trying to get the garden going, or the garden prepared to go, and things like that. So I am getting to the point where I'm going to be selling some of my breeding stock rabbits. I'm about ready for them to head to their new homes. And I've sold some of those roosters, thank goodness. But I have a couple more to sell. So anyway, where is paper that oh, here it is. Okay. All right. So we did have a project meeting this weekend for our 4-H club, and it was the Arts and Crafts project. We held it here, and we made a really cool craft. Hello, Teresa Dean. Welcome in. And I was going to show you guys what we made here. Hang on one second. Let me find it. I've got a lot of pictures to show you guys today, just of different things we're going to be talking about. Well, maybe here. Hang on. Hang with me here. Okay, so this is what we made. This is, and yes, the mirror is extremely dirty and it's got a bunch of fingerprints on it. I haven't cleaned it yet, but we made this out of spoons and a round mirror. And the kids had a blast making them. And next time, if we make these again, they will be smaller. The kids it was a nice day out. They wanted to go out and play and not be stuck in working on this. But alas, we gave them several breaks and allowed them to, do what they needed to do to get their energy out, and then also work on this project to get it finished. So, Kitty, most go on to 4-H. There's the National 4-H website, and you can there's a drop-down tab, and you can go by state, and then you can go by county, and you can find your local extension agent, and they should be able to tell you anyone that is close to you for their 4-H club. Not all of them are the same. Some of them are more hands-on than others. Our club tries to be more hands-on for the kids. Others are more, you learn at your own pace, you do it yourself kind of thing. So anyway, those spoons painted, yes, we painted them. You start with the outer row. We started with a white on this one, and then slowly added black to it as we went along, and then the center is black paint. So we painted them, every layer, every round got a different color of paint. So it kind of looks like it's faded into one, or starts from white and goes to black. Now we did have some blue ones, white faded to blue. We did have ones with just different variations of blue. We had some starting from white and went to pink in the middle. We had several different colors. Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know how it is in your state, Kitty, but you can go to the extension and you can, in your county, and they should have a list of all the clubs, and usually the club leader's phone number and contact information is there. So you might be able to do that online, or if you know somebody that's in a club. I think 4-H is a very wonderful tool for kids. They get to learn so much and it's not just the farming aspect. You can do things. This is an arts and crafts project. Cassidy's doing sewing. They're doing wildlife, which is a very big project this year. I've heard that there are a lot of kids doing the wildlife project this year. And their first meeting was, as you've seen in the last couple, I think it was 2 live streams ago, they went and seen the Eagle Days. They went to the Eagle Days and learned about eagles. So my kids want to do a presentation on eagles. They'll probably just do a poster board or something like that. This is the Purple Martin house that Brian built. He put this together this weekend. We still have to sand it down and paint it and put the perches and things on it. But for the most part, the basic outline is done. And this one we'll be putting in the silent auction for our 4-H fundraiser. So, let's see here. Sorry guys, I'm reading the comments here. You guys are having a conversation. Anyway, so that is what he made. Let's see here. Do I have any other just regular? I don't think so. I think the rest of them are for, yeah, the rest are for what we have to talk about today, which is grazing livestock and things like that. So, oh, that sucks, Kitty. They only have the contact for the county agent. That stinks. Anyway, yeah, Bandana Grandma, we have one, I know there's a Columbia club that they don't do any animals, they just do the home arts exhibits. I think they do hams, but for the most part, it's the home arts things. Bandana Grandma, that, because Martins love to live in colonies, they like that. House wrens like to move into these, and if a house wren moves into those, the purple martins will not. So you want to make sure that if you see a house wren visiting this, you want to make sure that you discourage that house wren from doing that. Around here, you want to put them up, I think it's by March 1st. They send scouts out to find nesting places so that their colony can nest. I think it's March 1st here, but it's different in different parts of the country. But my dad set one out, and the very first year, and you don't always get them the first year around, the very first year he had a colony move in, and it came back for about 6 years. And it was really neat. The martins are very cool. They will dive bomb you, though, if you get too close. So you don't want to set a martin house out too close to your residence, because they don't like people getting around their, yes, Bandana Grandma, martins are extremely good for your garden. They eat all kinds of bugs. They're known for eating mosquitoes. However, they don't eat as many as people would think. The bats are your best attractant for, you want to attract bats to deal with a lot of mosquitoes. And we have a lot of bats out. We have a bat house that we are going to be putting up. We have put up our robin perches, and then we have a couple of bluebird houses to put up this year. So we do try to attract the birds. They do help with pest control in the garden. Um, and then, of course, I am going to be building, an insect hotel this spring. So hopefully I can attract some more bees and pollinators. And I've got some broken cinder blocks that I'm going to have the kids paint and turn into toad houses. So I'm going to be adding more toad houses out in my garden. And toads are very great at eating slugs and snails and things like that that like to munch on your veggies. So, how far away so you don't get dive bombed? I think they recommend. I know they recommend. What martins like to. There have a few requirements that they like. They like to be near an open water source, like a pond or stream, or if you have a backyard, small pond, garden pond. They like to have at least 40 feet around their home to be open, or away from a tall tree that a predator can roost in. They like to have lots of roosting options. That's why I said we haven't put, it's backwards on there. We haven't put the perches on yet because we got to paint it. But they do like it when they can see predators from coming away. So if you have 40 feet would probably be a good distance from your, I assume, your house. But they're not horrible. The only thing that they've ever done is knock my dad's hat off one time. They swooped down and knocked his hat off. They don't peck at you or anything like that, but they'll let you know that you're not welcome around their nesting areas. Now the barn swallows are the worst. Them little suckers are relentless. Our poor cats, when the barn swallows, when I was growing up, when the barn swallows were nesting, our cats couldn't walk outside. We couldn't walk across the yard because they would get dive bombed by the barn swallows. So, let's see here. Any more? If you guys have questions, please put them in all caps so I can see them a little bit easier. And if I skip your question, please keep reposting it so that once I do see it, because I try to make sure I see everyone, but I don't always get to see every one of them. Hello, Bob. Okay, so I hope that answered your question about the purple martins. They are a migratory bird, and if you see a scout come to your martin house, you can almost guarantee that they will inhabit that house. And it's very rare that you get one the first season. My grandpa, his has been up for 2 years, and he has yet to have a colony move in. So it's kind of hit or miss on that. So I'll have to look that up because you want to clean them out every year. If you don't, they will clean them out themselves. But you run the risk of getting the little house wrens move in there, and they will not move in to a house if the house wrens have been there. So, Bandana Grandma, you ask, does anyone know how to keep a big black snake out of a tree? One thing that I do around my bluebird houses, around the bottoms, if you have some sheet metal, some of that bendable sheet metal, wrap it around the trunk of the tree and secure it there. They can't wrap around that, and so they can't climb the tree. They can't climb the tree that way, so you might try that. I wouldn't necessarily nail it to the tree, but fix it so that it's tight enough around the tree that the snake can't get under it and they can't go around the outside of it. I would probably do that. With my bluebird houses around the base, and I put it, that's a pretty good section. I'd say it's about a 3-foot section of, I forget what it's called. I'm not good about remembering what metal's called, but anyway, it's just a real thin sheet of metal. It's galvanized. You can get it pretty cheap at like Tractor Supply, or any of your home stores. Hi, Rain Country. Thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Yes, chores are never ending. Anyway, and Rain, I almost have your item finished, and then I will be getting it sent to you. Hopefully, I will be getting it sent to you by next weekend. So, anyway. Hello, Homestead Tessie. Dr. Oh, I'm going to botch that. Hi, Mr. Body Oil? I don't think I said that right. Sorry if I botched that. Anyway, so yeah, that's how I do that for mine, so they can't climb up and eat the birds' eggs out of there. Okay, so that's kind of all I've got for you. I don't have a recipe for you guys this week. I did not get a chance to get that written down, and I didn't get a chance to get a book for you guys, but I'll try to make sure I do that next week. I do, however, have a breed highlight for you. I decided to go with sheep this time because I haven't done any sheep yet. Now, this is a breed of sheep that I have looked into getting. I've done quite a bit of research. I am wanting to add sheep onto my grazing systems whenever I get them fully set up. And I've been researching a lot of the different sheep. And this breed, the American Blackbelly sheep, I have been researching them, and they seem to be the ones that are going to fit my system really well. I want to try and attract bees. What herb flowers can I plant? Oh, there's a whole bunch. They love mint. Mints are very attractive to bees. They love zinnias. They really love when my bachelor's buttons, those are some of the first flowers of the year to bloom. They really love my bachelor's buttons. Most herb flowers they do love. They really, really love my basil. When I allowed my basil to flower, there were bees on that like all the time. Let's see, what else? What else did I let flower? Oh, they really love green bean blossoms. When I'm out picking green beans, there's always at least 30 or 40 bees working around me. Peppermints. And yes, it does, Kitty. It keeps the ants, and mice don't like that either. Anyway, so I hope that answered your question. There's anything that flowers they really like, so which most everything does. So the American Blackbelly sheep are the ones that I have. I think that's what I want to have. Whenever it's those are the St. Crows. The St. Crow sheep are just about the same. They're just a little different. But the reason I like the American Blackbellies, and I will show you here in just a second once I get the birdhouse off there. They're absolutely gorgeous. This is a picture of a ram. And as you can see, they are a meat sheep, and they are a hair sheep, which means in the spring they'll shed off their winter coat, and there is no shearing involved, so they're the ease of maintenance. And they were developed in Texas in the 1970s, somewhere around there. The rams are horned, and most of the time the ewes are polled. They can have horns, but usually they are polled. They were developed by crossing the Barbados Blackbelly with the Rambouillets and the, I'll mess this up, Mouflons. I can't ever say that. Those were the three that they used to mix those. Now the Barbados Blackbelly sheep, they look exactly the same, only they do not have horns. They are polled. And they're a little bit finer boned, and they are on the endangered list on the Livestock Conservancy website. I think they're on the critical list. I think the last count they only had 115 that were registered or something like that. I don't know. I didn't do my research on that, but the last count I had, they were in critical numbers. So, Anyway, okay, so anyway, that is a ram, and this is their characteristic look. They'll have the black legs, the black belly, and then they'll have the brown with the white on their face. The rams will have that chest, their chest hair will be black, and this is what a ewe is going to look like. As you can see, she looks just about the same, but she is polled. Now, a lot of times it says that they will be scurred, which means they'll just have little bitty buttons or small little horns. Anyway, so that is what a ewe is going to look like. They are, let's see, I already went through that. They are early maturing. They are very vigorous. The lambs can be born on pasture and are up nursing within minutes of being born. They are very parasite resistant, which if you've ever had sheep, that's a big deal. You don't have to worry about parasites as much with these guys. They have good sound feet and legs, typically. And they do very well on pasture situations. They can, to quote a lady I met at the grazing conference, she goes, they can basically live on scenery. They can pretty much turn anything into something that they can eat if you don't have a lot of grass for them or forbs for them to eat. So anyway, let's see here. Hi, Mud Pie Girl. Anyway, let's see here. Hello, Teal House Farm. Thanks for joining in. Let's see here. The ewes usually will range from 75 to 95 pounds, and the rams 110 to 140. They are known for having a very strong flocking instinct, which means they're not as docile as some breeds. But I haven't been around them, so I can't really tell you from personal experience as to what their temperament is. But for the most part, all the research that I have done, they are a very good flocking, which means they will stay together in a group, which helps with predator control and stuff like that too. So it's easier on your livestock guardian dogs to guard them if they stay together a little bit better. So now everything I've mentioned here is just strictly research that I've done on this breed. I do not have any experience with these, but they are something that either this breed or the St. Croix are the ones that I'm going to get when I do integrate them into my grazing system. So I figured I would just talk about them a little bit and kind of let you guys get introduced to them and maybe maybe put a little bug in your ear if you're thinking about getting sheep and integrating them. They're a nice breed to have. There's not a lot of difference between them and the Barbados black bellies. For the most part, they have pretty well similar things, but the Barbados are naturally polled. The rams do not have the big, beautiful horns, which is something that's kind of neat. If you do have one butchered and it's an older ram or wether, those horns, you can take the skull and make something really cool out of them. And that would be something that you could make a little extra money on. So, hello, Living Like Claire. Welcome in, Claire. Let's see here. All right. So that is the American black belly. And then if you research them, a lot of times you'll come up with a lot of information on the Barbados black bellies, which they're very close and very similar. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get to the topic at hand. We are going to be talking about grazing systems today, and just some of the things that I learned at the conference. Like I said, I got a refresher course, kind of recharged my brain on some of the different things that I already had known. But there was one system in particular. I'd heard of it, but I'd never really researched it. And that was using cover crops to graze your cattle over the wintertime, using those instead of hay. And the guy that I listened to, this is kind of a new thing. What he does, he is a row crop farmer, and what he does is he will plant his particular crop. It's usually corn, he said. And then when the corn gets so tall, he'll come through and he'll no-till drill in different varieties of milos or wheats or oats or just different grazing things that he likes to put in his systems. Let's see, he listed out a few here: buckwheat, milo, ryegrass, cowpeas, turnips, sorghum, oats, and some vetches. So what he does is that corn will shade those, those smaller plants, and they'll just kind of hang out there underneath the corn, just hang out there because they don't like the shade, or they like to have a lot of sun to grow well. So as soon as he harvests the corn, those have the best opportunity to grow up, and they'll grow into their full potential. And then the frost or the first freeze will kill them. And after that, it just kind of freezes all of the nutrients that that plant has. It just kind of locks it in there, and it's there and ready and available when the cow comes through and grazes it down. And what he does is he'll do that on his fields, and he even has convinced some of his neighbors to do that, to let him do that, and it improves the soil fertility. And he even said that it took him a long time to convince people that it wasn't going to ruin their soils. It wasn't going to compact their soils. It was going to enhance, and they didn't have to use as many chemical fertilizers. They could spend less on their crops and have a better profit margin. Yeah, Teal House Farm. I thought it was just ingenious. I'd heard about it, but JS, will chickens eat that too? Are you talking about like Milo and different things like that? Because yes, they do love Milo. And they love wheat. They love wheat a lot too. So, anyway, where was that? And the guy that was speaking, he said there's no greater thing than to just have a cow self-harvest her own feed. It's the cheapest form of feed that you can have. If you don't have to start a tractor, you don't have to pay to maintain that tractor, you don't have to pay to maintain a baler, you don't have to purchase a baler. It's one of those things where that cow is maintaining herself just by grazing off those stockpiled cover crops and forages that you have. So it's one way that he doesn't fire up his tractor once over the wintertime, he said. Now, if it snows a lot, he only keeps 30 days worth of hay on hand for the amount of cows that he has. And what he does, he doesn't stack it. He sets it out in a checkerboard pattern in a specific area that he wants to add nutrients to. And what he does is when it snows or he needs to feed hay, he has it set up where he can set up a fencing system and only allow them in, and set up paddocks and only allow them into certain paddocks. So they eat the hay. They also have the stockpiled forage around the hay, and all he has to do is move one wire. That's it. He has to go out, physically move one wire backwards, so many feet, and that's all he has to do. Now that to me was really neat, because I am going to be setting up a rotational grazing system for my cattle. That's on the books to get done. But to me, feeding them over the winter time, this stockpiled cover crops or forages, was just an amazing idea to me. So I am going to try and do that this winter and integrate that. And I've got a diagram here to show you kind of what my situation looks like. I'm going to show you the pasture that we have set aside for our feeding our cattle in the wintertime. So this is the basic outline of the pasture that we have. That pasture area you see to the left, that is where our hay storage area is. I did step that off, and it's roughly 60 foot wide by 170 foot long. Just very roughly. I didn't do any exact measurements, but that's roughly what it is. And that area, I was thinking about setting, well, I'm going to show you the next one here. So the red lines, those are going to be new electric wire that I'm going to divide these pastures in. As you can see, those little D-looking things, those are gates that I would put in. So those red lines, and I did on this one, on the right-hand side there, I did forget to put the line dividing that, but you'll see it in the next picture. So this divides them into different paddocks. And so what I was thinking about is those red lines will stay. Those will be permanent. Well, not permanent, but they'll be ones that I do not move. I do not move once I get them set up. I can take them down if I want to. If I don't particularly like the system that I try, I can just take it all down and I'm back to the system that I have here. So, oh, you're welcome, Kitty. Okay, so the next one, and then over to the right, why there's a little hump there on that one side, the pond is over there on that other side, and that's an extra grazing surface that I did not feel I needed to mow all the time, so I let my cows do it for me. Okay, so this next one you're going to see here is I took those paddocks and divided them into even smaller paddocks. And in each of those small paddocks, there will be a hay bale set. Now, these are in no means, I just set them there for reference so you guys could kind of get an idea. Those are by no means what they're going to be in the end, but just for reference point, those blue lines will be the one. So as you can see there on the left, you'll see paddock number 1 up there by the gate. What I'll do is I will have my wire, I'll set my blue wire there, and as soon as they're done in paddock number 1, I will move that blue wire back, and that will be paddock number 2. So paddock number 1 will just be there. They can use that after they're done grazing that. They can use that all winter long if they want to. And then I'll gradually back that wire all the way back down to paddock number 14. Okay, and then I will go back once we get all of that grazed and the hay used out of that. I'll go back up to paddock number 15 there, and I will create, I didn't put it on there, but I'll create a gate right there. We'll use paddock 15 and then back the wire back down until you get to paddock number 28. And then they'll just have all that to do with whatever once we get those paddocks grazed. And then probably, I don't know which one I'll start first, but this is kind of what I've come up with. I really want to give this a try. And what I thought I would do is, I know a couple people that have a drill that I could borrow, set up a cover crop situation in these two areas. And let me go back one picture here. The area that you see in yellow, that is going to be access that they have at all times. The yellow will be, as you can see down there at the very bottom right, that's where we water. That's the closest spot to the water spigot, so that's where we water. And then that little square there in the middle is the run-in shed that we built them. But anyway, so they will have access to that at all times before we open up any paddocks. So, and I may even take that and divide it, depending on the weather, At this point, usually the weather's starting to turn a little bit, so depending on the weather, I may even take that and divide those up into different sections, and walk them back to their barn area. We'll have to see. Um, anyway, thank you, Tessie. That's so sweet of you. Anyway, so this is what I want to try and do. I want to give it a try and see how this will allow us to reduce the amount of stored hay we have to have. It'll reduce the amount of fossil fuels we have to use. It'll reduce wear and tear on the tractor that we have. All I have to do in this system is go out and move one wire, and I have my cows fed for the day. Now, with this setup, if I do it kind of like this, the paddocks on the right-hand side, I have not measured the, or excuse me, I'm sorry, the paddocks on the left-hand side, I have measured, since I have a rough estimate, the paddock's size will be 12 foot deep by 30 foot wide. So that's the paddock sizes on the left-hand side. I have not measured at all on the right-hand side. I don't know what sizes I've got over there, but anyway, yes, Mother Mini Horses, rotational grazing helps a lot. Now, in these last 5 years we've been here, we had a very invasive species, which I'm going to talk about here in a minute, in the back of our pasture that had taken over everything. So, anyway, I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute. But this is what I've come up with to try and integrate that into the system that we have, and I'm going to try and do that this fall. So, all right. So, any questions on this? I know I covered some of the cover crops that he recommended was the buckwheat, the milo, ryegrass, open pollinated corn. If you just spread it out there and let it do its own thing. If you just take a pasture is what I'm talking about. Cowpeas, turnips, sorghum, oats, vetches, things like that. Now, obviously these are not cropland, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to borrow a drill from somebody and just have at it. And then it'll also grow with the native grasses that we have in there, and we also have I've seen some tall fescue in there. We've got a lot of lespedeza in there in that pasture already, so they'll just grow along with that, and then hopefully we'll have a good assortment for them to eat, and they can live on less because the forage that's already there that they harvest themselves, it's going to have more protein in it than the actual stored hay will. The hay is more roughage. So anyway, so there's that. Now, let's see here. I also attended somebody that was talking about the stockpiled foraging. And what you do is you basically section off a part of your pasture. Usually people will graze it off in the spring, spring to late spring, and then they won't let their cows touch it until frost comes. And or they may let them graze it once very lightly just to keep all of the grasses on that S-curve so that they won't develop seed heads and become less palatable. This is when you want to really build your grasses up, so that way whenever your regular pasture is done for and you're just done completely. I have a pasture out to the east of our house that I'm going to try this with. It's already set up. All I got to do is close the gate, and I'm going to try doing some stockpiled forage there somewhere towards the probably end of June. I'll lock them out of there and let that grow and see what we've got going on. And I am planning on planting some native prairie plants, which will be some of my coneflowers, my black-eyed Susans. Let's see, what else did I have written down here? Hang on, guys. Well, maybe. Anyway, So, and when you're doing that, when you're setting up a pasture, or if you already have an established pasture but you want more diversity, having a more diverse, a diversity between warm season, cool season grasses, and legumes. Legumes are going to be your protein sources for your cows, and then the grasses are going to be more of your roughage types for your cows, because we talked about that rumen needs enough roughage so that it can properly maintain its bacterial, proper gut bacteria and things like that. So that's why in the spring, a lot of times you don't want to stand behind a cow in the spring. There's not a lot of, the grasses are so tender at that time, there's not a lot of roughage for them, so they're very loose. It's one of those old unspoken rules: you never stand behind a cow in the spring. Even if she's not doing her business, if she coughs, you're going to be covered. It's just how it is. I know, that's gross. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see. 11:47. All right, I'm doing pretty good on time. Let's see here. And using a rotational grazing system on your pastures is going to allow for a better distribution of manure and things like that too. So your pastures will get even manureage cover. Let's see here. Okay, so I was going to show you, now this next thing I've got to show you here, guys, it's kind of the growth curve, or that S curve that I talk about with grasses. Now this is by no means a scientific one. I just came up with this one based on some of the graphs that I've already seen. But it gives you kind of a rough estimate of the grass growth. Now, as you can see here, your cool season grasses, which are going to be your fescues, your brome grass, your orchard grass, Kentucky bluegrass, ryegrass, timothy's. Those are going to be your cool season grasses. Those are the grasses that are going to extend your season out. As you can see, they begin growing around the 1st of March, and usually around November is when they shut down. And then you're going to have your warm season grasses. As you can see, or actually, let me back up to the cool season grasses. As you can see, they spike kind of about May, and when they hit about August, they really kind of go dormant a little bit for you. They don't really grow very well because they do not like the heat. And then when it gets back up to around October, they really kind of peak again, and then they're gone by kind of the end of November, really. They really like that coolness. Now your warm season grasses, they're going to start growing probably around early April, and those are going to include your big blue stem, little blue stem, Indian grass, switchgrass, eastern gamma grass, just those different types of grasses. Now, usually these warm season grasses are they're going to have really deep tap roots. They're really going to be able to get down in there and bring up those minerals and nutrients that your cows are really going to need. So these warm season grasses are going to be more of your mineral content. They're going to hold a lot of that for your cattle or sheep or goats or whatever it is you're grazing. Now let's see, that little light blue there, my printer was deciding it didn't want to cooperate, but that kind of light blue, almost green there that you see, those are going to be your perennial legumes. They're going to be more of your clovers and your alfalfas. Now, the alfalfa they have nowadays is usually about a biannual, which means it's 2 years. And then some of your annual legumes, now they will reseed themselves, usually, if you let them reseed themselves. They're going to be more of your lespedizas or your birdfoot trefoil. And as you can see, the annual legumes are peaking when all of your other cool season and warm season grasses, and your perennial legumes are kind of at that lull there in August. The annual legumes really love that hot weather. They do well in hot weather. So if you have this, I just wanted to show you this because if you have a good mixture to your pasture, you'll have something for your animals to eat at all times. And I really like the bird's foot trefoil because it is a non-bloat legume. There's something about it. It won't bloat them. So it's something that's safe to use if you don't have a lot of your grasses to eat, and it's mostly going to be your legumes, and it's got a lot of stem to it too, which helps with the roughage. Some of your legumes are going to be alfalfa, your clovers, your birdfoot trefoils, your lespedezas, your vetches. Those are some more common ones that you're going to see. Oh, well, thank you, Kitty. I'm glad it's simple. I was really hoping that I wasn't going to confuse you guys to death. Okay, so a great resource if you want to order some of these more native more native warm season grasses and legumes, and even your flowers, your wildflowers. They're really good to have in your pasture rotation too. Having your dandelions and your even what are considered weeds to some people, they're really good to have in there. As you know, your dandelions, they're good for your liver, and that holds well for your cattle as well. So anyway. So a good source for the prairie grasses or the wildflowers is I found, I actually talked to the owner at the conference. She's really nice. They harvest their seeds from different places that have an established prairie, and they go out and they harvest their seeds from there. So they're actual seeds that are living in their native environments. And that is going to be Hamilton Native Outpost. They're really great, and I think they're a really great company. So it's www.hamilton native NATIVE and then outpost OUTPOST.com. Oh, bye, Mother of Many Horses. Anyway, so they are a really great company to get seeds from if you want to do some native prairie work. And a lot of times, what people will do if they set up their rotational grazing systems, which is what we're wanting to do as well, is also encourage better habitat for our wild animals. We had, when we moved here, there was a covey of bobwhite quail. I haven't seen them in a long time. I did see them last year, but their numbers had diminished quite a bit. So we're really going to try and set up our homestead where it's very beneficial for them. Even though we only have 25 acres, we can do a little bit to help them out. We've already started our work for our wild rabbits. We set up brush piles in specific locations so that they can run from one to the other if they need to find shelter from predators. So we begin working that way with those. And then also the University of Tennessee, they have a publication. You can download it. It's a PDF. It's the Native Warm Season Grasses. It's a really great publication that they put out, and it's worth the read. It's a little dry, but if you're into all kinds of grass, warm season, you want to learn more about warm season grasses, I do recommend that. Okay, so I have a few pictures of some of the different grasses for you guys. Let's see here. Here is going to be your big blue stem. Some people call it turkey foot grass. The ends of it, the seed heads, look like a turkey foot. This kind of got a little 3-prong on there. So that's going to be your big blue stem. Here is your Indian grass, and it's got more of it. The actual grass looks a lot like big blue stem, but the seed heads are different. As you can see, it's I got a fluffier seed head. And then you've got your tall fescue, which here in Missouri, it's everywhere. You cannot avoid it. It's not the greatest for grazing cattle and things. Some research has shown that it contributes to a little bit of infertility in cattle. But nonetheless, it's here and it's here to stay. It's hard to get rid of. But if you manage it properly, it'll be better. Or you can work with it. This is orchard grass. And orchard grass is a really nice grass. Cattle love orchard grass. And then here is what your birdfoot trefoil is going to look like. It's got a pretty little yellow flower on it. Hello, T. Teresa. And then here's your red clover. Most people already know what that looks like, but this is your red clover. And then, of course, you have your white clover, and that's everywhere. That's grows very well almost anywhere. But once that heat hits, it's gone. It does not like the heat at all. And then there's what your common Lespedeza. There's several different Lespedezas out there. This is the most common Lespedeza that you're going to find in most pastures. Now, let's see here. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the invasive species that we had. Our back pasture was invaded by this, it's called Circia Lespedeza, and it was accidentally planted. It covers the entire state of Missouri, and it is very invasive. It will take over a pasture very quickly. It is edible. However, cattle, they don't like it when it gets to this stage that you're seeing it here. It has a very deep taproot, and that's what it allows it to take over a field. So, and each plant produces so many seeds, and those seeds can last up to 20 years in your seed bank. Now, this is a picture of when we first moved in. The cows had not even touched this yet. This is a four-wheeler that we were borrowing. And that stuff, look how far, it was over the top of the four-wheeler. Yes, Homestead Tessie, red clover is amazing for people as well. Anyway, this Circia Lespedeza, that and the blackberry brambles had taken over this back field. So we have successfully used our cattle and a brush hog to kind of eradicate it, and our grasses are responding by growing really. They're coming in very nicely, and we've got a lot of diversity back there now. And this stuff has been very well managed with the cattle. They like it when it's young and tender. They don't like it when it gets to this woody stage, as you see right here. So this is what it looked like before we got after it. So this is, if you ever see this in your pasture, get rid of it. It is very invasive and very hard to kill. There are still sprigs back there that refuse to die, but I'm hoping that with some continuing management that we can get rid of it. So anyway, there's that. Let's see here. I think that's all the pictures. Yeah, that's all the pictures I had for you guys. So I'm going to flip it back over here so you got to look at me from now on. And is there any questions as far as everything that I've covered? I'm trying not to completely bore you guys to death and not lose you in the process. So grazing systems are pretty simple so when you're doing the rotational grazing systems, you want to try and keep what Joel Salatin calls the teenager stage, where it's you want to keep it from going to seed, but you also want to keep it to where it's not. There's a middle ground that you want to hit whenever you're grazing your pastures, and the more tender that you can have it, the better palatability you're going to have, and the more consumption you're going to have. Ergo, you're going to have better gains if you're feeding stocker calves. Your cows are going to produce more milk, and things like that. So, long story short, you want to have your pastures be a diverse mix of warm season, cool season legumes, and then I'm going to try and integrate some wildflowers and some prairie things in there as well. So we're going to try and do that and see what happens. That will help out our native quail population. When they introduced the fescue in Missouri, that's when the quail really took a big hit. Quail cannot live in fescue. So we're going to try and keep our fescue down to a minimum and just use some of the other cool season grasses. But anyway, so one other thing that I want to talk about is your University of JS Farms. Thank you, Weetree. I am not an expert, but I try to bring you all information that's helpful. And I don't. All I do is I tell you the way I do things and how I'm going to do things and what I know. And I try to make sure it's accurate for everybody. Like I said, I'm not an expert, and I'm never going to claim to be one. So, anyway, the last thing I want to talk about is multi-species grazing, which is another thing that I listen to. I've done some research on this, and I do want to do the multi-species grazing. I want to graze sheep with my cows. It's going to give me more dollars per acre profit. When you graze, and this is something that I learned, I did not know this. When you graze your cattle with your sheep, there's only a 35% overlap on things that they eat, because sheep prefer weeds to grasses, and cattle prefer grasses to weeds. So there's really only a 35% overlap. So when you graze them together, you get a much more even graze. The weeds then cannot outcompete your grasses because they weren't grazed off by your cows, because the cows like to eat ice cream first, as Joel Salatin says. They like to eat the good stuff first, and they want to skip over the Brussels sprouts. Well, sheep happen to love Brussels sprouts. To them, that's their ice cream. So you get a better even graze on your pastures. So not one thing has an advantage over the other. And your fertilization is a little bit better. You have the different manure situations for each species. They do different fixations into the soils than others. Both are ruminant animals, so you don't have to worry about the monogastrics and the which are the single-stomached animals like pigs and things like that. They're both ruminants. Let's see here. Their requirements are mainly the same, with the exception if you are going to run wool sheep, you are going to have to shear and you are going to have to dock tails. Now, if you run sheep like the American blackbellies, they have pretty much the same requirements. Now, mineral, it's a little different. You don't want to have copper in your mineral that you're going to be allowing your sheep to eat. Copper is toxic to sheep. So, for the most part, doing a multi-species grazing system will improve your grass and the grazing systems that you have set up. So, I think that's all I had for you guys. I've got a lot of different things I want to try. We're going to integrate everything as we can. We try to do everything low cost to no cost. We've got several projects planned, but we are still gathering materials for those projects. And we do it as we go along. So anyway, are there any questions? And it doesn't even have to be this topic specific or anything like that. So if you have a question for me, please let me know. If you have any suggestions for a topic, please feel free, and I will try to do that for you. Tonight on the Homestead Network, from 8 to 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have Freedom Acres. And from 9 to 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have Big Bear Homestead. Robin will be giving her essential oils class, so you guys please stop by. They both do an excellent job at discussing different topics. I know I learn a lot and have a good time every time I join in. My internet is working much better now. They have it fixed, so I can actually watch live streams now. I'm so excited about that. Anyway. Yes, Connie, our goats are good grazers with cows as well. One of the guys that I watched, he was talking about that, and he runs goats with his cows and not sheep. So goats typically are a little harder to keep in. They typically, you need to make sure you have a good fence for goats. Sheep are typically will respect fences better than goats. So a lot of times people like to use the sheep instead because of the fence respecting issue. What's the best way to reestablish red clover and such in your area? Red clover, all it has to do is be in contact with the soil. The seed has to be in contact with the soil and it'll grow. Some seeds do better if they are passed through a ruminant animal. It breaks down the harder outer shell of that seed, and the cow essentially plants it for you. A lot of them do better that way. A lot of them, if you have good seed to soil contact, that's pretty good. If you have a way to rough up your ground just a little bit, not very much, you don't want to till it, but a way to just rough it up a little bit so that you have a good seed to soil contact, it usually will do it all on its own. Right now, while the ground is still freezing and thawing here in Missouri, it's the perfect time to plant or reseed a pasture right now. So we don't have any rain on the horizon. Typically, the most optimal time is to get your seeds out there, and then it snows. It snows on them. And what that does is it allows the melting of the snow to slowly integrate that seed into the soil, as opposed to if it rains, if you have a gully washer, it's going to wash all your seed and who knows where, and you're not going to get a very good even distribution of your seed. So a little bit of a light snow on top of seed that you put out on your pasture is really going to be most beneficial for it. Yeah, broadcasting is the easiest way to do red clover. Oh, no Big Bear this week. Okay. Thank you, Mud Pie Girl. I did not know that. Just for this week. Thank you for letting me know that. I did not know that. So no Big Bear this week. Sorry, guys. Icky wants to know if he can graze goats on buckwheat. I do not know the answer to that question, Susan. I do have a lady that raises goats. I can ask her that and try and get back to you. I'm not entirely certain on that one. Let me write that down. I would imagine that you can, but I will ask her. I needed to call her anyway. here in the next couple of weeks and get a hold of her. I will ask her. She will know more than I would. Oh. Okay, so Big Bear will be on for the essential oils class, but it's Tuesday instead of Monday, and only for this week. Okay. Sorry, I messed that one up, guys. Okay. Well, that's good to know, because I would have tried to tune in and I would have been like, where are they? So anyway, and in case you guys didn't see that, this is the company that I talked to the owner, and she was a really sweet lady. And let's see, can you see that? There's their website right there. You might go check them out. So anyway, yeah. So that's what I had for you guys today. Any other questions for me? Doesn't have to be about the topic related, or any suggestions for next week. I'll give you guys a couple minutes here. What else? Let's see here. I had a really great time at that conference. These people are a new seed stock catalog for cattle, and I got to talk to them quite a bit. You can shop for a bull from your own home. There we go. There's the breed to have. Just saying. And there I have learned of an artificial insemination class that I am going to be partaking in. I know how to do it. I know how to do every single aspect of artificial insemination except for actually inseminating the cow. So I am going to try and learn how to do that. And that way I can be kind of the local guru for that, hopefully, if I learn how to do it correctly. Okay, so you can graze buckwheat. Susan says buckwheat is okay to graze goats. Yeah, I've never had a situation like that, so I didn't know 100%. I didn't want to tell you wrong. Oh, yes, there are lots of catalogs. I have Genetic Horizons is who I usually go through, but yeah, you can pick out a bull from the comfort of your own home. Usually these people have different people stationed in different, they are out of Herman, Missouri. And if you contact, if you know of a company, you contact them, and they can, if they're not in your area, they can send you to somebody who is. A lot of vets do AI services, and they can access any bull you want to get semen from. Now, there's bulls like this bull. Let's see here. He costs. No. Oh, they don't have it right out in front. The last bull that I used, a straw of his semen was $50. Now, there are other bulls that their semen's only $15 a straw. It just depends on how popular the bull is, depending on what they want to charge you. So, anyway, what else? I have my stack of papers that I kind of got from there. For the most part, it's just little brochures and stuff, but anyway, this company, I don't know if you can see that or not. I don't know how to pronounce it. They do a lot of the electric fencing. They have different things. They have, they're one of the leading companies that does the solar electric fencing and things like that. So, Colorado beetles. I hate those stupid things. Chickens love them. Hand picking. It's about the only way. Now we have guineas this year, so I'm going to try and set it up to where they're going to be more in the garden area. So hopefully they'll take care of any of those pesky little critters. Alright guys, I'm now 16 minutes over, but Homestead Tessie, I'm sorry, I don't really have anything other than hand picking those little turds. I really haven't had to deal with those too much. Anyway, if you set up a if in your garden, I have a lot of habitat for beneficial insects. I think that they take care of them when they're younger, when they're still in their pupae, larva stage, or whatever stage it is they have. The beneficials will go ahead and take care of them when they're younger, before they get older. So, neem oil. Okay. Neem oil. Very cool. Liquid dish soap. That works pretty good. The problem I have with the liquid dish soap is it also kills the good bugs too. So, I like my bugs. I don't like killing my good bugs if I can keep from it. Squash bugs are a pain in my rear end. I hate squash bugs. So, anyway, alright guys, I'm going to get out of here, and I'll see you next week. I don't know what the topic's going to be, but we'll see. So, I will see you guys next week. Bye.